Welcome to Vision Pros, the show all about spatial computing, Vision OS, and getting work done on the Apple Vision Pro. I'm Tim Chatton, host of the show. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Vision Pros. Joining me today on this episode, once again, is Adam Lisagor from Sandwich, as well as José Marquez, also from Sandwich. In this episode, we're going to dive into their experiences shooting with the new Blackmagic URSA Cine Immersive camera that they pre-ordered back in January, and it's now here, and they're starting to put it to use. They recently did a really cool capture of the Robot.com commercial in Immersive with a 2D version of the commercial within the Immersive video. You can watch this in the Theater app right now. I'd recommend doing that before listening to this episode. And in this episode, we're going to dive into that experience of shooting this and a bunch of just different topics around this video format and how this might evolve over time. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so over at visionpros.fm/Patreon or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. With that, here's my discussion with Adam and José. Enjoy. Well, welcome to the podcast once again, Adam.
Thank you so much, Tim. Is this my third time being on?
I think so. We did television, theater, and I'm trying to remember if this is the fourth time. I think it's just third, but yeah.
It sounds right to me.
Yeah, I was trying to think if we did another one separate from the standalone app discussions, but I'm not sure at this point. It's been a bit. We're joined as well by José Marquez, who you work with. What's his kind of role at Sandwich with you?
José runs the show. He's an extremely competent executive. His title is President, COO of Sandwich.vision. He's been a dear friend for many years and filmmaker, former media executive, artist, visionary. And when the opportunity came up to invite somebody to collaborate with me at a high level beyond just technical to try to build this company, when it started to feel like there was something more substantial there, I invited José to join me, and he got it. I gave him the Vision Pro demo early on when I had first gotten it, he and his son, Aline. And then I think another time came over to his house, and it might've been on your birthday, José. We sat in the back patio and had a long talk and about what the future of this technology could be. And José has been working around technology and the arts intersection as well for a long time. So it just was a perfect fit, and it's a dream to collaborate with him. That's why I thought it would be fitting to have him on with me tonight or today.
Nice. Yeah. So the meat of today's discussion is about the Blackmagic URSA Cine Immersive cameras and what you've done with it for the first kind of project with it. You've got one right there in the video that I'm seeing that you're just hearing
the lens cap. Can you take it on and off?
Lens cover come off.
The lens cap. It's got a real nice feel and a sound to you. You could probably, that's like ASMR for camera nerds.
Right. It almost looks like a big battery bank, almost like the size class.
Yeah, I mean the camera is enormous and so heavy. Like I wish you could hear the heft of it, but it's like a dense brick. I don't even know how to describe it. You've probably seen, your listeners know what the front of it looks like because it's got the two big eyes like Wall-E or Johnny Five. But it's a new. I feel like the form factor of this kind of technology gets reinvented every so often, and when Canon came out with like the C300, the first of that product suite, it like shocked everybody because it was like this DSLR style camera that was in a vertical formation. And this one is just like this giant brick with two eyes on the front of it. And it's kind of like the new way. Who knows what the form factor will bring, 5 years from now. It'll probably look very different. And we might be able to get the same resolution and capture quality out of something much smaller. I mean, it's likely.
Because it's a big camera. Yeah. Before we get to that, I just want to catch up on theater.
Sure.
How's that been going? It seems like there's a lot of content as far as like events and stuff still kind of happening. Like, what's been that kind of experience been like of approaching people and the Cine Immersive camera that can't shoot live, can't? Or is that a different version of the camera that would end up doing that?
That's a big
Yeah,
topic.
Jose, you want to field that one?
A lot of people are asking when they can use this camera for live. Certainly, we had a great live show earlier this year with Nilay Patel and Joanna Stern and Mr. Gruber. Very popular. We've had a lot of success, as you probably know, from visiting our app, doing movies that can't be seen otherwise, which is a reason to put on the headset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just to see movies bigger, but movies that you really can't see. We do have a very exciting event. I don't know when this is going to come out, in about 3 weeks. I don't know if Adam, you want to talk about it? The Timecop.
Oh, sure. Yes. So we partnered with a comedy. This is going to sound. We partnered with some established live comedy film commentators who are legends in their field, and we captured one of their shows in Nashville earlier this year as they screened a film. A beloved sci-fi action movie from the 90s, and they do live commentary on it. And so we were there in the live theater with the live audience, capturing spatially, so that in our theater environment, you can watch the film on the big screen and see them off to the side, spatially, as though they're there in your space, doing their commentary, hearing the audience laughter around you, which is having been there live for the event was really real and experiential. And we're going to be offering this show in theater that people can buy tickets to and watch over and over for rent or for purchase. And it's really exciting because they're a known quantity. They're these it rhymes with
Stiff backs. I like yours
lacks.
better. Yeah.
Yes.
Biff facts.
I'm guessing. I have no idea what this movie is. Starship Troopers? Is that a wild guess?
It's Timecop. I mean, guys,
Timecop.
Might as well spoil it. It's beloved Jean-Claude Van Damme film Timecop, and the Riff Tracks True doing their commentary over the film. And it's one thing to watch Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's one thing to see this played back on streaming video or whatever, but to actually feel like you're there in the audience is a whole different level. And they've got a beloved fan base. So that was really a fun experience to capture and to be able to reproduce for everybody at scale.
Nice. Yeah. And the Planetarium was added some time ago. That's a really cool experience. Really, it does a good job of emulating what that's like. 'Cause I've been to those in real life, middle school and stuff, going to field trips and stuff. And it's like, oh, I'm back here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's like going to the Science Museum and having those big, spectacular, largely educational, but also quite beautiful experiences.
There's been a big push.
And Jose has really been the driving force behind that whole movement of theater. He's the one who immediately, initially identified it as an opportunity for us. He was the one who said to our third of four co-founders, "Hey, Andy, do you think you could build this? Do you think we could do this kind of screen?" And then he's the one who was out there wrangling every single top tier film producer and creator in this format, which is a rarefied bunch, really just elite status, and bringing those to our app. And so we've got the largest largest library for rental or purchase of any of these giant screen.
I'm just going to say that it's not your childhood planetarium vibe anymore. This movement towards immersive cinema that now encompasses the sphere and cosm seems to have a lot of cultural cachet right now. A lot of concerts are increasingly going in this direction where when you go to the show, there's someone on stage singing, but really you're there for these giant visuals. And so we've been lucky to get a lot of shows that are audio-visual spectacles.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to have the Sphere, like some of that content within theater at some point. I don't know, however challenged that would be with licensing. And
yeah, Tim, what do you think that they like? I don't know, just like in your, if you're like sort of like theorizing around a partnership like this, would you think that a company like Sphere or Cosm would be excited and open to like partnering with a virtual version of their venue, or do you think that they might find that a little more challenging?
It's interesting because like, does that devalue the whole thing of going in person?
Yeah.
Or does it like, oh, this is great, I want to see this in person because it's probably that much better in person. It just depends who you're talking to that day at the company, probably.
Yeah, it's true. I think that's where you're correct on that, and I think that we can sit from our position and think that's an endless opportunity for them to scale what they're doing and commercialize it in new ways. But I think that the assumption is that they're sitting from a place of like security in their business model, and like it's all gravy to them, which I don't think ends up being true in most large media companies. It's actually, they're always on a wire, at all times. So they're always looking over their shoulder for what's coming. And if they're not building it, they're threatened by somebody else who is. And I'm not projecting that opinion or that perspective onto them. I just think that might be what I was thinking if I was in their position. And I don't know. Right. I don't know what I'm going to do with the investors' money in order to keep growing, right. Like make, number go up to the right.
Yeah, no. And then I'm super curious with the live streaming of like NBA games and what other sports this would apply to.
Yeah, that does seem like it's going to be the next era, but we can't do that with the current camera.
No, there's two versions of the Cine Immersive. One's like built for live streaming. That's what the NBA is going to be using, like a modified version of what you guys have. Is that right?
That's my understanding,
Jose, what do you know?
But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a way that the generation that we have can also do it. I'll just give you one example. When you're shooting with this camera, the viewfinder is like a postcard from where you are, because it doesn't really convey what you're capturing. You really need to be monitoring in the Vision Pro as you're shooting for the Vision Pro, and you can't do that. However, I've been told, we've all been told, and I was reading it over and over again today like a prayer. There's a page in the most recent Apple Immersive Utility documentation that says, connect your immersive camera to this utility and you can monitor live. Doesn't say which camera that would be, doesn't provide a link, etc. Right? So
yep. No, literally in the new version of the camera or the software in the utility, there is an icon and it's just like the classic photography camera icon. And we don't know what's supposed to happen when you press that button. There's no further step. There's no step 2. So it's a little bit of a block. But Blackmagic is close to the vest. Obviously we know Apple is close to the vest. So we know this stuff is coming, but they're not making promises. And the one thing that they will tell you at Blackmagic is that the products are in beta. Like this is all beta stuff that we're out there trying to make art and commerce with.
Yeah, and is this what Apple shot with for the initial immersive videos? Do we know, or is this like? No, okay, they had like an even more beta kind of setup, and then this is like
they made their own. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. They had their own. They had to come up with their own workflows and software and solutions. So they've really been doing some bleeding edge pioneering work, and I think where they have left the ball, it's now up to a lot of other people to carry it in directions that they wouldn't want to or need to, because ultimately, as amazing as the immersive experiences have been, and they've been consistently amazing, full stop. They're also made in some ways to advance the story of the Vision Pro and of Apple and Apple Immersive Video. That's a very specific message, story, theme, and the world as we know it is more complicated and nuanced and layered. And I think we'll get to see a lot more of the world as this camera gets into more hands.
Yeah, and you guys pre-ordered this in January.
Yeah.
And you received it in October?
I think it was August.
When did we get it? No, I think earlier than that, maybe September.
August. Okay.
Yeah, it came just in time for me to do. I was doing a talk on the future of video at a conference in Victoria, and it came like one day before I was supposed to leave. So I basically just took it in its heavy Pelican case and in a tripod with me up to Victoria. Mind you, there was no software to do anything with it. I don't think I didn't have any accessories. I just brought it up there with me doing my talk, and I had it next to me as a prop. And that was all that I lugged it. And also flying with it on the seaplane from Victoria to Vancouver was quite expensive. So I hope it was worth it. Because it's very heavy. But anyway, it was impressive because like only 30 or 40 people own this camera, or companies own this camera right now. And even back then it was even fewer. So it was like if you were into immersive filmmaking and you got to see it in person, that was kind of exciting. As I was telling the story of like what our theory at Sandwich.vision is for the future of filmmaking, this was a useful prop to have next to me. And then the next time it went out was when it was when I flew back to Nashville to shoot a commercial that I was creative directing a commercial for Sandwich, my production company, to do a launch of a robotics company. And that was a traditional shoot, but because I had this camera, I said, here's a harebrained idea. Let me just bring the camera with me. I'll be there on set and I will get one or two shots capturing each scene or setup in between the crew shooting. And we'll see if I can make anything from it. And like, as far as R&D goes, to be there on set for a real production where the money is already being spent, that's gold for us. And then we ended up being able to make something cool out of it.
Yeah, and it's available in the Theater app,
and
it's really cool to.
Oh, thank you, Tim.
Check. Yeah. I watched it several times because it's like, with immersive, you're able to look around a bit. It's like, let me look. Yeah, the first time I was focusing, so the format of this is it's the commercial and the robots.com commercial, and you've got the 2D video overlaid of the immersive, and we'll have to chat a bit on that because that seems like a unique format that I haven't seen elsewhere. So the first time I was just trying to watch the ad. Then the second time I was like, let me look at the immersive stuff, comparing to the ad a bit. And so it's something you should rewatch, I think, several times. So.
Definitely. It's layered. And that was kind of the intention and also the accidental discovery. When I brought the camera with me, I thought what we were going to do was just make an alternate version of this commercial, tell the same story with just the Apple Immersive Video. So same elements play out in the story. It's for robot.com, which is a robotics company doing commercialized cargo bots and delivery bots and robo dog and a humanoid robot for different commercial and industrial purposes. Kind of an exciting company to help launch. And so my intention was to recreate this same story, but just do it in an immersive video world. But then we spent time putting the actual 2D traditional spot together with all of our visual effects and all of our sound design and music and all the care we put into our traditional process. And then I did an assembly cut of the Apple Immersive Video clips that I had shot. And the story plays out nicely, except without any of the visual effects or obviously not a different sound mix and, and all this stuff. So I thought, oh no, what did I get myself into? Am I going to try to recreate all the effects that we've done and paint out any of the gear that, the crew and presence of stuff that it was really hard to squeeze out of a 180 degree
And you do see
for
those in the immersive, so it's kind of like this is what it was like shooting this.
So like I basically on set I had to try to find the most strategic place to capture this stuff without crew being front and center, which is really hard when you see the world. And I thought, how are we going to do this? We're definitely not going to be able to do all these visual effects in 16K, 90 frames per second. That's a non-starter. So then I thought, well, what if we just put the commercial inside this world, inside this immersive environment, and the two play out in parallel? And when I tried it out, it was just a really cool experience, but it was a discovery. This is not what we intended to do. It was discovery, because the result is you're watching this traditional commercial inside of the environments where it was produced. And that includes presence of the crew and the gear, some of the gear. And, you get to feel the reality of life and that layer of presence. And what it ended up being, and somebody at Blackmagic described this back to us when he saw it, which is like behind the scenes, but sort of in reverse. You're inside the scenes, right, as you're watching the thing. And that's like really a cool invention. That's a cool reinvention of the format, because it is exactly what, like, imagine this for any of your favorite movies. Imagine watching The Godfather, inside of like every scene where it was produced. That would be an interesting way. And you see Coppola and you see like all of the crew around, and I want to see like the battle scene opening Gladiator. Yes. Exactly. How cool would that be? And like audiences are hungry for that. Let alone behind the scenes documentaries. We love layers of context like this. We love director's commentary. We love the stories around the stories that we love. And so I don't think this is the last time we're going to see this kind of a format. I think that when we can continue to do it over and over again and express it in different ways, and people see it and see the potential of it, my hope is that we're going to get more opportunities to do the same.
Yeah, and it feels like kind of the golden era of behind the scenes was when the DVDs were really blowing up. That's when we got the Lord of the Rings huge box set. The Ridley Scott had a lot, someone he worked with closely for a lot of his movies, or some very in-depth, Kingdom of Heaven, director's cut had some great behind the scenes, but we don't get that as much these days. So I wonder if like stuff like this immersive stuff, if you can just stick a camera there, it's a lot of data, but you don't need to edit it as much as you would a full-fledged documentary about a movie.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, what's the reason why? Let's deconstruct why director's commentary went away. It was because streaming ruined everything, just like streaming always does.
Yep. And it's the most. Yeah, you get occasional ones in like iTunes extras and stuff, but it's baffling they don't like. You can have alternate audio tracks in these streaming videos. Like you have Spanish and all these other like. Well, it's weird to me that never became a thing. Just like
that got
let's
pushed
add alternate
onto
audio
social
tracks.
Media, right? So if you want to be part of the viewing party, you find your favorite voice influencer, whatever the right term is, to watch the show with, and so you have that second screen experience, but it's in a completely different platform, right? This is definitely something that we're pursuing, that we're very interested in. There's a company that put out a couple of really important Blu-rays, if that name means something, and we're hoping to bring some of those shows.
I'm more of an HD DVD guy myself.
To theater, because now you can have this multi-layered experience naturally, and we think that's the experience that people will be having more and more, right? As the second screen moves from your pocket to your face.
Yeah, and in the robot commercial, it felt like in the immersive stuff, you're actually seeing some actors that are acting, but they weren't either in the shot or they're not the focus of the shot. So you're like seeing some like extra stuff going on. Which is kinda cool.
So there's different affordances in immersive video than you get in traditional cinema. And this is what like the most commonly understood narrative of being an immersive filmmaker right now is like, what are the rules? What are the rules that we're all learning so that we don't make people vomit on themselves while we're while they're watching, or whatever. We just have to make it. We have to be very attuned to the audience's comfort level. And it was funny to see like some filmmakers like break those rules and like badly, to negative consequences right away. But that seems to be like when Apple gathered immersive video people together at their campus last month. That seemed to be probably the dominant story, is like, what are the rules that we're all learning? And yes, we're all learning those rules, just like we will learn by picking up the family video camera and pointing it at something and figuring out how do we tell a story with assembling multiple shots. One of the rules we learn is you really can't cut this stuff too quickly. And so the eye, in traditional cinema, because it is contained in a rectangle and detaches you with proper, context separation, we get to move the story along quickly because the audience still feels safe, and grounded where they are. We remove the ground from an audience using watching immersive films. We take their space away and we replace it with our space. And so when you do that, you take away their safety, and then you start rapidly changing out their environment. There's something in their brain's wiring that's going to say, "Oh no,
unsafe."
Yeah, this is bad. This is really bad. It's threatening, and maybe we'll acclimate to it. Likely we will, just the same way we acclimated from early days of black and white cinema and montage to like MTV era, cut, 12 cuts a second or whatever. Maybe we'll acclimate to it, but I don't think we'll acclimate too much. So basically the pace of edits in immersive has to be slower. And in order to accommodate that, I just had to hold on the immersive shots longer and, rely on the 2D frame to tell most of the story.
Yeah. Now, I also had a version of just downloading the file of this. And in Vision OS, there's the ability to just watch it flat, non-immersively. Is there a world where any content is shot immersively, but also exported as a just standard 2D video that functions well enough there, but is, if you really want to get the best version, watch the immersive? Or is it the type of, like, you don't have everything's in focus with that camera. There's no, like, beautiful bokeh. Yeah, there's no bokeh, really, with that camera, right?
That's correct,
yeah. So, is there a world where it ever makes sense to just export a 2D thing of this? And
and not only does it make sense, but it's almost like imperative. You have to accommodate a 2D world. And it's something that we all want to do. All immersive filmmakers want to do, easily export the 2D version of it. The tools aren't there yet to make it easy for us, but luckily our friends at Sandwich.vision are sort of like building for that future as well.
That's cool. Yeah, it's funny that like there's no way to export it, but in Vision OS you can just like, let me just watch it in 2D.
Yeah, that's right. It's like really Apple really, I don't think this is philosophically, this is not what they're doing.
No, yeah. It's just such a new format.
This is not their own like aesthetic constraint that they're imposing. It's just like they don't have the software ready. But if you wanted to think of it at a high level, it's like we are capturing a piece of theater, and they really want it to stay as a piece of theater.
Yeah. So this camera captures in 16K at 90 frames per second. What storage medium is that capturing onto? And how fast does that fill up?
We are using now the dock as a necessary step in reviewing dailies and even doing some assemblies, because originally what I was doing was getting the media off the cards, right? And it's just, there's no way that an 18-hour gap to review makes sense. That's not dailies anymore, right? We're now in a different... So,
right.
On the one hand, we're making progress in that we're figuring out like how to work around the 1 gigabyte per second, I think is roughly the formula, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the other hand,
That's
we
so
still
much
have,
data.
I think in some ways it's very maybe possibly productive limitations of just real-time playback, right? So if you're not doing if you're not doing like a mezzanine or lower res version, you kind of can't quite, unless you're on the most potent, powerful machine, the studio, you can't really do real-time playback. So what I have found myself doing is scrubbing through, right, to understand how the shots work together, switching to the Fairlight to the audio to see if the audio is good, and then rendering. So it's really a lot more like working with film than working with video, right? Where you're saying, did I compose this properly? Is this going to work? Logically, does it work? Does the symmetry or the picture harmony work? And then let's see it. And then when you see it, you don't see it, you feel it or you experience it. And now a completely new set of considerations comes into play that are different from your own having been there as a witness, right? Because you can't be exactly where the camera is. Of course, over time, all of us maybe will develop the ability to imagine what it's like to be inside the camera or to anticipate not just what's in the frame, but how it feels to be in that frame. But for now, it's a lot of, as Adam was saying before, trial and error.
And to work with this content, it only works within Blackmagic's video editing software?
To the best of my knowledge, yes, that's correct. And will be probably for some time.
Okay. Yeah, okay. And then tripods, do all the normal tripods work with this thing, or do you need ones that accommodate super heavy cameras? Or are those the ones you'd probably be already using with your existing cameras?
Yeah, the secret to tripods is they don't have to be that expensive. They just have to stand there and not fall over and not break, which, you know, for some of the brands out there on Amazon, you might want to read the reviews that it didn't break under their camera. But yeah, the first tripod that I bought for this, just because I needed something quickly to bring with me to Nashville, was one of these chintzy small rig, off-brand cameras or tripods. And yeah, sure enough, it totally broke on the robot shoot. But I just had to like put a pencil and a piece of tape in one of the holes to make it.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Why do you need an expensive tripod? Mostly to be able to operate with it, because you want an expensive fluid head. You want it to be able to do pans and tilts and everything in very smooth, repeatable, not dirty things. You don't move the camera with this thing. You hardly move it at all. You set it and forget it. And that's kind of like one of the joys of using it as a filmmaker almost, is that you don't have to be responsible for moving the camera as a proxy for the viewer, because the viewer doesn't want you to move it.
Right. Like if this format took off, a cinematographer, their job would be much different.
Yes,
I'd imagine.
totally.
Yeah.
And that's why it's kind of uncomfortable for me to be in early conversations with cinematographers that I work with, is like, I don't know, like I had a DP in here last week. I think he came over just to get his eyes and hands on the camera, talk about what it can shoot. Cause I'm out there evangelizing, and it's kind of uncomfortable for me to say, like, most of your job kind of goes away. You can't light from within your frame. You can't move the camera. You're not choosing your lenses. So just go over there and look pretty, I guess. They don't love hearing that.
No. Now, Apple's done a couple of them with aerial shots. Like there's one in Maine, I believe. Is it this size of a camera they're attaching to some kind of heavy-duty drone?
This one and even bigger ones. Very big drones, I should say. They're not... Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's actually one of the... if you could afford that kind of a drone, it's probably one of the easier ways to move this camera. Because if you put this camera, for example, on a dolly or on tracks, and it goes forward, and it's ever so slightly off axis, I liken it to like someone pulling you by the ear, right? Forward, right? Because you're not in control, or it doesn't feel like you're in control. So in some ways, that's probably drone shots is probably what we're going to be getting a lot of in the next year or two.
You think we are, Jose?
Well,
or just the
that's
world?
a good question. I'll say this about some of the stuff that we've been shooting, because we've been trying to shoot at least a card's worth every week now since we got the camera. You do want to be in spaces that yield a lot, right? And there are places that feel good from a storytelling standpoint that then from an experiential standpoint don't have that spirit, don't have that appeal, right? So I think slowly but surely how we position, if we have the choice, if we're not just capturing something as it's happening, but if we have the ability to put the subject into an environment, what those environments are is different. And I think that that's a place for exploration for sure.
Yeah. I'd be curious if they try to do immersive baseball games, how they would actually do that. Because I know like they stick cameras in weird places that are trying to be hidden, and they use probably some nice zoom lenses to get in there to the action, which all this seems impossible with immersive. I don't know if you have thoughts as to like, is this feasible for things like baseball?
I mean, I think there's a reason why. It's not just because maybe the Lakers are the right team in the right town, but I think basketball lends itself very well to this kind of capture. As you were saying, like we're going to be between the shortstop and the. I mean, what do you
Yeah, right. Have it. The umpire has it above his head or something.
Younger people than us, maybe some of your listeners, they're now excited about vertical storytelling and people extending 16:9 movies and making them 9:16. So it could very well be that how we understand certain activities slowly gets changed by how most people experience them. So maybe there's a version of baseball that's different, that's amazing, that we've never known, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point. I never thought of it that way. Like most people, what percentage of the entire population of people who watch a baseball game, a professional baseball game, are watching it live, and the rest of everybody in the world is watching it shot by broadcast television cameras from far distances. Sometimes with the digital stuff overlaid and everything, but that changes our understanding of the game. And I would say probably in immersive, the experience of watching a professional baseball game is a little closer to watching a parent's taping of a Little League game.
Yeah.
Being there really close to the field.
Yeah, because watching it live is a way different experience. Like, it's fun being there, but it's almost in every way worse as far as being able to get an understanding of, like, do I think that it was a strike or not? You're so far away most of the time. Yeah.
God, that's such a good point. And isn't it funny how you go to any amphitheater to see a concert and you're watching the Jumbotron screen the whole time. You're watching the whole thing mediated by the format you're more comfortable with, which is cameras. And they're essentially doing in real time what we did with our robot commercial, which is layering the video that you're comfortable watching over the feeling of being in the environment while you're there.
Well, they're trying to give you the best seat in the house, right? As that's been understood, right? And oftentimes that's, well, if I was at home, right, I could see it this way. I want to go back to the baseball thing just really quickly to say, what if there's a really interesting version of the game that is the coach's point of view? Or is, right? So, because I think that's where some of the
or from where the managers are at or something in the bullpen,
right, becomes maybe.
And you could even do the 2D overlay of having the normal presentation along with the immersive alongside it. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the most stark examples of immersive video that Apple put out early on when they first started putting this content out was inside the locker room of an NBA championship game. like this environment that none of us have ever been in before. And you feel like you're there with these literally larger than life pro athletes who are these specimens of physical, perfection. And you're in this space that only they get access to. And I just remember that being sort of a wake up call for me, that it's like what's spectacular about the format is the access to the space and the presence. And I think we'll just prove that over and over and over again.
Yeah. Now, what was your process for trying to match up the immersive content you shot with the commercial? Like you're doing that in the Vision Pro, or like how are you actually previewing and matching it?
It was so cool. If I can describe the process, because I think you'll enjoy nerding out on this a little bit. DaVinci Resolve, which is Blackmagic's software for post-production workflows, the edit mode is just a traditional timeline, just like you've seen for decades. So you're layering the immersive clips, and you can layer in the 2D clips on the same timeline. And I made sure that they synced at cut points where it was important, that the action was kind of synced, even though it was different takes of the performances. So I was doing most of this while wearing the device, because you can stream to the Vision Pro from Resolve, which is a very cool experience.
Using Mac Virtual Display.
What's that?
Through Mac Virtual Display?
No, through their own. Why are there balloons in my car?
Doing helium.
What are you doing in there?
Party. We're recording this in FaceTime, and we've had some interesting FaceTime effects.
Yes.
Come on.
Thank you for the context, Tim.
Yes.
So Resolve has its own, sort of like in-app streaming of the immersive material into your Vision Pro in real time. And then what you do is you bring in your desktop through the Mac Virtual Display. So you can basically, you see the software, you see the Resolve software there in your Mac Virtual Display inside of the environment which you're doing post-production on, which is cool in and of itself. Then, like, if you want to get even more meta than that, Dan Sturm, our visual effects supervisor, and I were working together on placing the 2D video window within each of those environments, always like placing them to taste in the right amount of depth and scale and position to help tell the story, because in that context, the 2D window becomes another character in the story. So you can't break the the experience for the viewer. Again, you have to accommodate for them. So you have to place it in a depth where they are expecting an object to be. It's almost like there's a floating TV in every frame. And if you put it too far away, you're forcing their eyes to like change distances and accommodate very quickly. And that's very uncomfortable. So we had to like sort of like do this dynamically, this positioning. So the way that I fudged it was that I used my Mac Virtual Display window with the traditional video full screen, and I just placed it shot by shot in depth and in space, in position, and then screen capped it, and then gave Dan visual sort of like references for where it was in depth. And then Dan we were on FaceTime. He's in Arizona. We were on FaceTime, both in our Vision Pros. He's sharing his, over Zoom, he's sharing his Resolve window with me while I'm inside of the environments of the immersive spot. And it was like so many layers that it almost broke both of our brains while we were doing this. And we had this moment where we almost we paused and we thought, if we could go back in time and tell 11-year-old versions of ourselves that we're just discovering filmmaking, what we're doing right now, we would not believe it, and we would be so proud of ourselves. It's so sci-fi, it's insane. I love it.
Is there a world where you tried to implement any of the television models within this?
I love it. Tim, you're speaking our language. Yes, there is a world. There is that world. We would love to bring some of the televisions into some of the environments that we're either shooting or creating. it's a delicious opportunity for self-referentialism.
Right. Yeah. Because you get the floating video there, and I don't know how much of it would take you probably out of the moment a bit. I don't know, depending on how you would do it.
Maybe not.
Or you just act like if you found a spot in every scene where a television could just like be sitting there on the sidewalk naturally, it could work.
Yeah, well, one thing we want to do, I read this article about this video store in Burbank near us. That's just one of these temples of, old video store culture that still thrives and exists. And the photos from this article were so like textural and wonderful that I wanted to be in there while I was reading the article. And he has, of course, like all good video stores, has an old CRT television sitting there playing, whatever movies on video. And so what I'd like to do is just go in there with our immersive camera, capture the environment, and put one of our televisions in there, and then let our users, play back videos in that space.
Yeah. Now, the other thing potentially, I don't know if this would work, is when you're capturing the immersive shot, you bring an actual television that's just sitting there, powered off, and you superimpose the video into that immersive video somehow. Definitely. I don't know how complicated that would be to try to.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're one of us.
Yeah. So to do all this, you meant with superimposing the 2D media onto this immersive video, the tools are in beta? Are these the Blackmagic tools you're talking about, or are these tools that you guys had to work on separately at all?
The Blackmagic tools are
Blackmagic. Gotcha. Yeah.
We're working on our own tools in beta as well, but that's what we were referring to.
Okay, cool. And Seth Worley, the director of the commercial, did he have thoughts on this?
To be honest, I don't even think he's seen it because he doesn't have a Vision Pro. But I sent him a version that we put up on YouTube for VR 180. And he hasn't. I don't think he's watched it yet.
Okay.
That's the thing. Either you're in our world or you're not. And I don't think it's an easy transition between the two.
Yeah. And I guess another thing is you're shooting immersive. Are you with like waivers and stuff? Are you capturing more people than you intend to sometimes? And is that a problem foreseeable in this format?
Yeah. What are you, a lawyer?
I was just thinking of it, just random things in this format. It's like
it's a good question. You're always so good at the interviews. I really enjoy it, Tim. You ask good questions. Yes, it crosses the mind. It does. But we're in that early territory where, we don't know how many tens of people will see this material, and the legal threat isn't that grave.
I know, right? Yeah.
So I think we're sort of we're in squishy under the radar. When I was early on at Sandwich and I was making my first videos, I remember it being sort of soft definition of whose music I could use in a commercial, and the client would be like, we just want this track, we don't care. And they would do it, and they'd put it out there, and it would be done. And I didn't get sued.
Yeah.
But that's the consequence of growing, and it's a good problem to have, is that eventually, we'll have to get 180 degrees worth of releases signed, and not just the 60 that we're accustomed to.
Right, yeah. If you enter this space, just be warned. Yeah.
Yep, exactly that.
Yeah, yeah. So do you guys shoot with Blackmagic as your normal 2D cameras, or do you have different brands that you guys tend to go to?
Mostly it's with our Arri Amira. Sandwich owns a camera that's like an Alexa. It's a similar product. So that's what we usually shoot with. Sometimes with the Sony cinema cameras. We have a couple of the Blackmagic Pocket cinema cameras that we were shooting mostly with for pandemic era stuff, where they had to be real small and portable. But really, this is the first time that Blackmagic has been the main part of the ecosystem.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a great company. Yeah. It really is. Not doing an ad for Blackmagic, but the things that they're building, they're really trying to serve the needs of the community in ways that I think the bigger manufacturers don't get to so much because the economics are different.
And how much is this camera cost? I don't even know.
If you have to ask, it's too much. I'm just kidding. No, it's an investment. It's 30. The base price is $30K, and then you're buying some more. You're spending more on accessories. So it's an investment, but it's a lot less than our Arri camera cost.
Yeah.
So typically, to get into the higher end digital cinema camera space, you're typically spending $50K.
Okay.
To be up there at that professional standard, but this is more affordable. Of course, there's going to be related costs with all the data.
Right. Yeah. Because you got to.
So yeah, you really got to want it. Yeah. You really got to want it. And as Jose says, eat the pain. And it's not like, we're not, it's not we're in a cash flow rich situation right now, where this is an investment in the future. And we know that we wanted to be a part of building that future early on, in an influential way. So it was kind of a no-brainer to spend the money.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah. Professional cameras get expensive.
They really do.
For sure.
I mean, and even still photographers, you talk to them about the costs of their Hasselblads and whatnot, and it's comparable and sometimes more.
Yeah. And firmware updates to this camera. This is a very new product. There's buttons you said that don't work quite yet. Like, what are you hoping? Is there anything that you wish this camera could do that isn't doing right now?
It'd be cool if the right channel microphone didn't pop and buzz the whole time. That would be cool. What do you think, Jose?
Yeah. I know. I literally was going to say, if the two microphones were clean, that would be amazing. So it just, we're throwing away half the.
There's a couple of things, but it was there was a firmware update where before this update, you couldn't record external audio source. You couldn't plug in an XLR and record it. And then they updated it, and now you could. So now we can put a lav, we can put a wireless lav into there, or our ambisonic mic. So little by little, and again, Blackmagic is a reputable company. This is not some fly by night that they're going to disappear, which we've tried out a couple of spatial cameras that they disappear. The firmware is absolute garbage. It looks like it was it looks like it runs on the same OS as the fuel pump at at the local gas station.
And they operate as if it's a product sometimes too.
Yeah. And then you press record and it starts spraying gasoline in your face. That's not right.
But what I mentioned before about the ability to monitor in the headset, that's going to make a big difference. It's just one of those things.
It really will.
We tell people all the time, we got to set up the meeting. Hey, we want to show you this thing, and I know they're skeptical. They have reasons to be skeptical. And then you put the headset on, people who have been making documentaries, scripted for 20, 30 years, people who have been around the block a couple of times, and they become children. They squeal, they giggle, they pull back, they gasp. It's a very rewarding experience to see people respond to this. And for the same reason that you can't explain it or approximate it unless you're in it, the ability to capture using just a viewfinder is, it's not.
Yeah, exactly. It's I think it was David Fincher had this quote that making a film is like trying to paint a picture with a 40-foot extension pole or something like that. There's this, and so that's a little bit what it feels like is as you're using the flat viewfinder with spherical spherical approximation of what the environment looks like. When it, like Jose said, when they enable live viewing, live monitoring with with Vision Pro, not only will it change the game for while you're shooting, I think it's going to start to train an understanding of this kind of filmmaking just by people watching it happen, watching people on set with the Vision Pro. I think in the same way that we all kind of know what it looks like for like behind the scene, like the filmmakers sitting in their folding director's chairs and like holding clipboards or iPads or what it is. We know this, like what it looks like to be making movies in the process perspective. I think this will be one of the commonly recognized tools for immersive filmmakers, and it won't be weird. Hopefully, like we can finally have a place where we don't look like super dorks and we're not being shamed.
Yeah, I think the Wicked director, it's 2D, but it's Sean.
Chu,
yeah, he's
not
previewing. I think
it's a very popular tool for watching movies as they're being made, because if you have the choice of, and I'm sorry, it's a very LA but I'm going to say it, of getting in your car and driving for an hour and a half to watch a cut on a nice screen, or walk over to the Vision Pro, put it on, and watch the same quality, you're going to do the path of least resistance. And a lot of filmmakers are choosing the latter to see cuts and see things that they probably wouldn't see on anything but the largest screen, because you do notice things.
Yeah, right, because the filmmaker's trying to see what it's like to be in theaters watching their movie versus at home watching their movie. If you preview it at home watching a movie experience, it's not the intention for what you're trying to, the final product. Yeah.
Well, I think like all directors want to see their work on the big screen. That's like consistent. And so to give directors the opportunity, even with regular cinema, to give directors the opportunity to watch their dailies back in sitting in a virtual seat with a 80-foot screen or a 20-foot screen even.
Yeah.
This is something that they really like. This is because it gives them the scale with which they contain their own egos, which is endless.
And for the URSA camera to do live previewing, it to be through the developer strap, I'd imagine, right? That'd be the only way to get live input into that headset.
It doesn't have to be. No, it's pretty strong with Wi-Fi.
Yeah, the files aren't too big for that. You wouldn't think.
No, I think it should. I think that they've got it. The streaming aspect of it worked out pretty well. The developer strap does enable higher bandwidth now. And my friend Justin Searles is a Vision Pro dork like us, and he swears he can detect the difference between the data rate of the developer strap and the wireless. He says like it's like an OCD illness of his that he can detect this latency. I cannot, and I'm I'm usually pretty particular about things, but also close enough is great for me.
It's like people who. So I was going to say the people who can tell the difference between needles on their record players.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And the lossless audio, people keep asking for that with the AirPods. It's like it's there if you want to use the music app and the Vision Pro. But I'm not sure if you'll tell a difference with the AirPods. But
that's exactly right. You get different you get different earbuds if you want lossless audio.
Yeah. And then did you end up getting the M5 Vision Pro, or are you sticking with the M2?
I did end up getting one, and it was because we're sort of growing now. It was to get another device so that we can
pass the M2 down to someone else.
Yeah, exactly, and have it as also as a shareable demo device. So. Can I tell the difference? No, not yet.
Yeah. The 10% more pixels. That's the one thing it's like. Is that
Yeah, I
a noticeable thing at all.
Detect it. But again, like I'm somebody who, like I'm not lying when I say close enough is great for me. Like I've always been in that zone of, marketable taste where I don't need the highest end stuff in order to be happy.
Yeah.
As long as I can't hear artifacts or see artifacts, then I'm happy. And I know that the next version will get better and the next after that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, anything we didn't cover that you'd like to before we wrap it up?
I don't think so. No, I think what Jose and I are really excited about, one of the many things we're excited about in building is just helping really interesting work get made with this tech. Mm-hmm. And we had a young filmmaker come over to my house today, and we met with him because he's basically pitching this immersive film concept, and got in early to the Venice Film Festival's, immersive filmmaker program. And it was just refreshing to sit down with somebody who really wants to invent new story form and like say something new with the format instead of just sort of like the traditional demo content fare,
Yeah.
It's always the same. It's like the early players to any capture technology are going to do the things that show off the hardware and software specs, but they're not doing it to advance the storytelling as much. And then the second wave is when people start doing more interesting things with it. And that's kind of where our happy place is. So supporting those people with resources and tools and platform and sustainable business models. That's kind of the name of what we're doing.
Okay. Yeah. And the theater app, if you would to show immersive content in that app, you would not be in the theater anymore, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Is that a conundrum with like, would you shoot stuff in immersive and offer it in the theater app, and then
there's an in-app purchase, and we call it no theater app. I'm just kidding. It's
right. Yeah,
it's such a dumb joke. I apologize to your audience, and I'll issue a statement of retraction.
You're being canceled. Yeah. Well, we're offering the robot.com spot right now, and we've got a couple of other actually short docs that are coming, and I've been talking to a lot of filmmakers around the world who have this camera, who want to be a part of the future, and it's not enough to be able to put it on Safari or put it on a platform where it will maybe get lost among the many other things that are on that platform. So we really are committing to helping people make money with this format, because if that doesn't happen, then it's dead, and we want it to live for as long as possible.
We'll all give up.
That'd be very cool. Have like a special section theater. Here's all immersive stuff. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the cool things about Resolve and the format of AIVU as a file container is that there's actually like a track for the environment, like a 3D environment to be in the space behind you, like the rear 180 degrees.
Oh, that's so cool.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Like they're not
that's
marketing
super neat,
that, but you can actually just fill it with 3D environment. And we have not experimented with it yet, but we do have some environments, that we could put back there. So like even if it's texture or if it's atmosphere, what atmosphere do you want your viewer to see behind them when they're in this immersive space? That's kind of an interesting and creative challenge.
Could you do an environment of just you're capturing like 10 seconds of what was behind you at that time?
Yeah.
And like loop
Bingo,
that somehow?
Tim. Do you want a job, by the way?
I would love a job. But that way, give 360 almost that way.
Yep, that's exactly it. That's right.
That's cool. And what's the challenges you think of miniaturizing this to like a GoPro form factor? Because we see the 360 cameras all over the place, but it's 3D aspect of.
We're told.
Yeah.
I think Blackmagic says this, that a good chunk of the price of the camera is just perfectly matching the glass, right? So that the left and the right lenses are identical, because you would notice psychologically, maybe viscerally, the problem. So I think that's a consideration. The big beefy body that it has is also a giant fan, so you can hear it when it's on. It's it's blowing air. That said, I think it's probably a good thing that it's as big as it is, because it forces you to treat it as a body, which is what you're doing.
You can't move it as quickly
and
stuff
there,
too, which is good.
And I think it would probably kill the art form if people started to play with it the way that they can play with a phone.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, the theater app is where you can check this out. Oh, finally, one last thing. I was surprised it was only like a gigabyte to download that file for me. Outputting this, you have different options for resolution, I'd imagine, or
you do. So Resolve has a preview output setting that bundles everything together nicely, and it's basically the resolution that the Vision Pro wants to stream it at. Which is, it's half res of what you're capturing. So instead of 8K per eye, it's 4K per eye, which is still a really good amount of resolution for streaming this material. Otherwise, you're just asking too much of the device and the viewer. You'll get frame skips. You're going to hog bandwidth. It's just way too data heavy.
Have you tried full resolution to see if it even plays in the M5?
Not on the M5, but on the M2 I did, and it does not go great. And also, what they say, what Resolve said, or Blackmagic says, is that the 8K bundling export is more for archival purposes. So it's really more for saving a ProRes version of it.
I see. And I guess if you wanted to save the full res for 20 years in the future, where the displays are at that resolution potentially.
Yep. Yeah, no, exactly. When they will be.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly.
Sure. So, what's Sandwich. What's the
Sandwich.vision. Sandwich.vision is where you'll find out all about what we're building. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Adam and Jose, for your time today. This is a fun chat, and learn a lot with the new camera.
Thanks so much, Tim. Really awesome to talk, and thanks for having us on.
Well, that's my discussion with Adam and Jose. My thanks to them for their time recording this episode. My thanks to you for your time tuning in. As a reminder, you can check out the Robot.com commercial, the immersive version, over in the Theater app. So check that out in your Apple Vision Pro. And if you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so over at visionpros.fm/Patreon or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. With that, I'll talk with everyone again real soon.